Lisa Gunther, who's the Senior Vice President of Brand for Papa John's.
Coming out of college, I had a double major in art history and math, of all things. And so I was looking for a role or a job that would fulfill, what I say is both the art and the science. I was actually at Gillette in Boston for a year. And when I was at Gillette, I kind of had this dawning realization that I was still in my early 20s and early mid 20s. And this is all I'd ever done. And I'd had some pretty amazing experiences. But I, at that point, decided I wanted to go to business school. I had actually a nonprofit internship with McKinsey, and I got my McKinsey offer from that. So I spent about 6 years at McKinsey. So from McKinsey, I moved to Newell. From there, I actually consulted on my own, but then went quickly from there to IHG, where I was at IHG for a little over 5 years. I oversee the Papa John's brand. And so what that means is it's how the brand comes to life in every facet. So whether it's the app or the website, we have a CX team who are responsible for the functionality, but I am responsible for what is the look, tone, feel. I'm responsible for what's the brand positioning, who's our target consumer, et cetera. I am responsible for all advertising and creative. And so that's working both with external agencies and as well as we have an internal creative and design team. I am responsible for all of the commercial team planning. So that's commercial, which transcends just marketing and includes loyalty, includes CX, et cetera. So I have a team that does that. And then a third area is all social, and we've kind of carved out social from the rest because social is an area where we should excel. I have a very small multicultural team too, because we believe that is really important for the future brand growth. And we found that we over-index with multicultural audiences of all facets. Mm-hmm. And then lastly, I've been very, very focused on consumer insight. You have two paths. You can either go really deep and be a functional expert, or you can create some option value along the way. And I think both are very valid paths. But you have to realize that if you have a passion for one area, you can go really deep and be the best at it. But I've always looked at more the option value piece, and it's like, yes, I've done mostly strategy and marketing, but I've done it in such a way that I've crossed many industries. And so when people look at my resume, they don't necessarily pigeonhole me in one area of marketing. And that's given me a lot of really great experiences. And that obviously opens up a lot more opportunities for me. And the second one is people. Always take the job where I know I'm going to really like my coworkers. Remember, there's always a person across the table from you, and assume goodwill, and also understand that this could be someone that you might meet in a different, in another part of your life. And it might be someone who also grows and changes in ways you never expected. And you could have a different relationship in the future than you do today. Curiosity. And I just love the world. I love people. I love asking questions. I love learning. And I love getting to root causes, and I don't really like settling with the most surface answer. Combined with that is a little bit of fearlessness. It's not craziness. It's just that I'm curious and I'm not daunted. And then I think all of that is coupled with an intense also curiosity about people and understanding that people are multifaceted. I can be very tough, but I am very kind, and I try to inspire people to be better and to really ask the underlying questions and to believe that the world can be a different place than it is today, including in business. First one is just looking at your own team and what their passions are and what is unique and different about them and what they bring to the table. And then the second one is just, looking at the, externally. It's like, I think sometimes we're either looking at too insularly at our company and sometimes just too insularly at our industry. but understanding what some of the trends are in analogous industries and using that as a potential leaping off point for insight and innovation. I love teams with diversity, and with diversity, I mean all facets of it. Even from a marketing standpoint, when you're in this melting pot of a world, you can't have a monolithic point of view on it, and so that just really helps you understand and think about how the world is. I know when I'm interviewing people, there are two things that I can get along with almost anyone, but there are two things that I need on members of my team. And the first one is the intellectual curiosity that we've been talking about. And the second one is just drive. I love having lots of balls in the air, and I love people around me who like that as well. I tend to look at individuals and I try to understand what makes them tick and motivates them and what their dreams and desires are. So how we structure their current role, but how we give them stretch assignments, et cetera, and help them, excel and grow. Get people in a room who aren't necessarily experts, because sometimes they see the problem in such a different way that they can come in on the side and really have some great ideas. And so unstructured, well, it's structured and unstructured. We usually have an issue we're looking at, but it's unstructured from the standpoint of we bring people from many facets in, and there's no set agenda of how we go through it. And I think what people learn is, okay, we all have things to bring to the table that can just help us out. I try to help people grow to believe in themselves and grow that autonomy so that they can take that ball and run with it, even in organizations that aren't really geared that way. I was a senior lead on the most recent Holiday Inn Express campaign, working with the folks who led the Holiday Inn brand and the Holiday Inn Express brand. And a couple of things there. The first one is we went from doing an RFP for a new agency to having a global campaign in like 6 months. I learned a lot about localization and local adaptation during this, because we were trying to create one campaign that worked globally, and yet you have things like alcohol that you can't use in the Middle East, and then we had some interesting adaptations in China, et cetera. There are largest brands and there are hotels all over the world. So the other thing I learned in addition to localization was, how do you think about that balance between making some unilateral decisions as the person who can do it, and how do I bring in all these global players to ensure that they're enrolled along the way? And that's a piece. The first piece I think we got right. The second piece, I think sometimes we brought people a little too late and they felt like everything was baked, and sometimes it's just easier to get them in earlier. And A, they have some great thoughts, but B, then they feel more invested in the outcome as well.